My name is Madeline Pierce. I'm 30 years old. And the moment I stopped being a daughter in my parents' eyes was the moment I asked them to help save my body instead of saving my brother again. Before we get into this story, take a second and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. And if you enjoy emotional, real-life stories like this, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and share it with someone who loves storytelling too. Now, let me tell you what happened. A week before everything exploded, my parents had emptied their savings to get my brother Travis out of jail. He'd been arrested outside a waterfront bar after drunkenly shoving a deputy. When I called my parents later that week, I was standing in my apartment in Savannah with one hand pressed against my side. Because I needed surgery. Not someday. Soon. After months of tests, doctors told me the condition would only get worse if I waited too long. So I called my parents hoping, just once, that I might come first. Instead, my father breathed into the phone like I was interrupting his day. Then he said something that rearranged my entire life. "If one of you has to go, better you than him." My mother didn't gasp. She didn't defend me. She just said, "Honey, you need to learn how to take care of yourself." I remember smiling even though my vision had gone blurry. "Thank you," I told them quietly. "Now I know exactly what your kindness looks like." They thought the conversation ended there. They thought I'd cry, borrow money, then go back to being the dependable daughter who quietly fixed everything. But they had forgotten something important. For years, I had been the quiet pair of hands holding their entire world together. My parents owned a marine supply company outside Savannah called Pierce Marine Outfitters. On paper, it was my father's business. In reality, it ran because someone had to manage the paperwork. Licenses, insurance, vendor contracts, tax filings, that someone was me. By day, I worked at a maritime museum restoring fragile ship logs and maps. By night, I kept my family's business from collapsing. My parents liked telling people I was the organized one, which sounded flattering, until you realized it meant unpaid labor. Meanwhile, my brother Travis was 33 years old and somehow still everyone's emergency. He never held a job longer than a year. Every time a new scheme failed, my parents called it bad luck. Every time I stepped in to fix the fallout, they called it family. Over the years, my father started putting my name on compliance documents and insurance contacts. "Just temporarily," he'd say. Temporary in my family meant forever. I never screamed. I just fixed things. Until the day I needed help and they chose Travis instead. The morning after that phone call, I woke up with pain in my side and a clarity I had never felt before. Usually when my family hurt me, I spent days trying to soften it. Maybe they were stressed. Maybe they didn't mean it. This time I didn't edit reality. They meant it. So instead of begging for help, I opened my laptop. And I took inventory, every account login, every insurance portal, every compliance record. What I realized made my stomach twist. I wasn't just helping them. I was embedded in the entire system. My email was listed as the primary contact on multiple filings. My phone number was tied to state notices. I was even listed as the compliance liaison for their commercial insurance. If I disappeared tomorrow, the entire structure would shake. That thought should have scared me. Instead, it studied me. Because my parents had built their lives assuming access to me would never end. My best friend Naomi came over that afternoon. She listened to everything. The surgery, the jail bail, my father's sentence. Then she said something simple. "Then stop saving them." I laughed at first. I told her the business would collapse without me. Naomi leaned back in her chair. "You need surgery," she said. "They chose his handcuffs over your body. Why are you still protecting them?" That question hit harder than my father's cruelty, because it forced me to see the truth. I had spent so long being useful, I started believing usefulness was the same thing as love. So Naomi and I made a plan. Not revenge, reality. I would withdraw from every unofficial responsibility tied to the company. I'd send them organized records of everything they needed. And then I'd remove myself completely. No sabotage, no drama, just boundaries. 3 days later, I sent the email. 17 attachments, insurance contacts, permit numbers, vendor agreements, everything clearly documented. At the end, I wrote one line. I will no longer be managing business, financial, or compliance matters for Pierce Marine Outfitters. All responsibility now returns to ownership. Within minutes, the messages started. Travis texted first. "You're really doing this over one argument?" My mother wrote. "Don't make emotional decisions." My father called twice, then texted. "Don't start something stupid." I didn't respond. For the first time in my life, silence was my boundary. The panic started the next day. My mother left a voicemail sobbing. "Madeline, what did you do? The insurance company says coverage needs verification." The following morning, my father called. His voice was furious, but underneath it was fear. "If we don't fix this documentation, they can't confirm coverage for next week's contract." "What did you tell them?" "The truth," I said calmly. "That I'm no longer your compliance contact." He exploded. "You're tanking your own family. Do you understand what surgery costs?" I asked. Silence, then heavier breathing. "You're being vindictive," he said. "No," I replied. "I'm being unavailable." Then I hung up. The situation kept unraveling. Vendors paused contracts. The marina delayed a shipment. My parents realized something they had never understood before. Their entire business had been quietly leaning on me. Travis eventually showed up at my apartment furious. "You're punishing everyone," he said. I looked at him calmly. "No," I answered. "I'm refusing to subsidize the lie." He asked if I wanted him in jail, if I wanted our parents broke. But I had finally learned something important. What happens after you stop carrying people isn't the same as harming them. Sometimes it's just gravity returning. 3 days later, I had surgery, not because my family helped, because Naomi helped me apply for a hospital payment plan, because my supervisor advanced some leave pay, and because I finally did what my mother told me to do. I took care of myself. Recovery was slow, but during those weeks, something strange happened. Without me managing everything, the cracks in my family's life became visible. My father had to pay more for insurance. Vendors tightened their terms. Contracts slipped away. They weren't collapsing because I betrayed them. They were collapsing because reality had finally arrived. About 6 weeks later, my mother asked to meet for coffee. She looked smaller somehow, like something inside her had shifted. After a long silence, she said something I had waited years to hear. "We built our whole life expecting you to catch what we dropped." I didn't answer right away, because words are easy after consequences, but it was the closest thing to truth she had ever given me. My father later sent a stiff text apology. Travis never apologized at all. And that told me everything I needed to know. Today, I'm back at the museum. My body is healing. My life is quieter. And the strangest part is realizing revenge wasn't what I thought it would be. I didn't destroy my family. Their habits did that long before I stepped away. My real revenge was something simpler. I stopped translating their cruelty into duty. I stopped confusing being needed with being loved. And once I did that, something unexpected returned. Hope. Not hope that my family would suddenly change, but hope that I could build a life where my worth wasn't measured by how much pain I could carry for other people. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is let people feel the cost of losing you. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. If this story moved you, take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might need to hear it. And I'd love to know your thoughts. Was Madeline right to step away, or would you have handled it differently? Let me know in the comments, because stories like this remind us of something important. Choosing yourself isn't selfish. Sometimes it's the beginning of healing.